and Breann McGregor.
Vahagn, it is so nice to have you participate in this project with me. I would like to ask you, how has COVID affected your life and all aspects of your life, as far as your personal life, your work life with friends and colleagues? And if there's anything that you're not comfortable with sharing, please, feel free to just pass that. But I really would love to know, your truth and really outside of the news and what is being said, how COVID is truly affecting people without there being any sort of bias political game behind it to make it seem like this is not a real thing, because it is very much a real thing. And I know that it is affecting a lot of people, especially with when it comes to people's mental state.
Thank you. And first, thank you for having me. I feel really honored and privileged talking to you. So yeah, this 2020 was a nightmare. It is a still nightmare. And we felt it very, very tough. I mean, at the beginning, I remember when they were just saying we have 10 cases, five cases. I was feeling horrified. I grew up on the Hollywood movies when they were bringing up subjects about the apocalypse, about the end of the world. And when it started, I felt that's the case, because I remember the first weeks when people start rushing to supermarkets and buying everything, and unconsciously you're becoming part of it, and that's the same thing what I did. We ran to a supermarket. That was the first, I think, impression that I remember. People running left and right, grabbing stuff that they never ate and just buying and buying and buying, and you becoming the same thing. And then after that, you're sitting at home. First week is fine. Second week is okay. Obviously, all our business went to hell immediately because clients start calling and canceling on projects. The future plans for upcoming months, they got canceled immediately. Like in 3-4 days, my phone was like ringing nonstop. And I was like, okay, this is pretty much the idea of end of the world that I had in my mind,
Yeah.
Buying tons of food, sitting at home, doing nothing, only getting the phone calls from clients, getting the phone calls about the cancellation. We got phone calls from Europe that they cannot ship our products, the products that we basically made so much investments on a very, very long time. And then we're expecting to have that furniture on March. And then till now, we don't have that furniture. So it's basically over there, overseas, in a warehouse, in a container, and things that we will get it anytime soon, like we have no data about it. We didn't know if this thing has a limit, has an expiration date or something. It was just continuing growing, And I think it was a periodic time of cancellations and falls in our business. Like the first thing what we lost, I remember it was 100% of our international sales. We lost them all immediately. Like in January, December, we had about 40-50 shipments to different countries, starting from France to India. We had our customers in Australia. We had our customers in Russia. We lost them all immediately. Like in a matter of all the contracts, all the vendor contracts, everything, it got like frozen immediately.
So can you tell me about your, like what you do, about your, the goods that you provide, and you are an artist and a collector. Can you please give me a little bit of detail about that, just so others have an idea of just the magnitude of, for someone who is an artist and you are independent, it's not, you don't work for anyone, this is your baby. And so can you please, just so that they understand.
So the company, which we call now Vramyan Interiors, is basically, as you mentioned, my baby, collecting antiquity, reselling antiquity, restoring, conservations, hand painting. But it was such a large spectrum of things that we were doing before COVID, providing large spectrum of offers and services to designers, contractors, homeowners all over the world, selling 18th century, 19th century decorative arts, paintings, and furniture that they're very desirable pieces. Depends on the period of time, like what market actually needs. We were collecting the most precious items for, let's say, a grand tour period from neoclassical period. And it was basically very fast growing process for us, because we were comparing every month with, let's say, pyramid, and we're like, hey, we have increased. It only goes increase on top of the increase on top of the increase. And I was like, had so much excitement. We already found a retail store, because before that we owned 2 big warehouses. So most of the furniture we're keeping there, very nice places. But again, it was just a warehouse. And I'm like, you know what? Around end of January, end of February, we'll open a very nice store in LA. So obviously got canceled, everything. And we're like, I remember it was like April or May. I was just looking at the finances, you know, all the, I mean, like, it's hard even to call the finances, just loss. And I was like, I don't know what's going to be the next, because, and I was going nuts. I'll tell you, I was losing my mind.
I believe
and
it.
Not like it was the idea that, oh my God, what I'm going to do tomorrow. No, it was the idea that I don't know if this is going to last forever, if this is the new normal. And if it's a new normal, how to adopt yourself to a new normal, how to find the new ways. Because all my life I was digging, you know, I was digging and researching new ways, new ideas. We can do this, we can create this, we can make this. But around April, I remember I was just waking up, looking in the mirror, and I was like, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know where to go. I don't know, like, and sweet customers, nice customers, talking with them, you know, if someone talks with me, we have on our social media, we spend hours of talking, discussing. So, and everyone is going through that, you know. Do you understand the meaning of word global? And you're getting scared. You're feeling how small you are comparing to the word of global pandemic. And you're like, oh, it was crazy. It was very, very crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you, like what you just said, when you say the word global, it does,
yeah,
it makes you like, it does just show how small we are. You know, we think this is, you know, things are untouchable, but this is obviously can affect anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. And, you know, I'm really proud of you. I found you through Instagram, and I've been very inspired by you way before COVID.
Oh, thank you.
I love your work, and myself, I have a love for antiques and restoration and stuff like that. So that is something that I found relatable to you. And then by getting to know you over the time, especially during COVID, it's been, when I get on Instagram and watch you navigate through this pandemic, it gives me hope to like, wow, this creative person who's an artist as well. And, you know, as artists, we make something out of nothing, but it is our creativity, it is our love and passion that keeps us going. And for you to be able to find a way to make your passion continue to flourish is all that much more inspiring to me. And I just want to know, you are so welcome. Like, thank you, because it gives me hope. How do you keep yourself focused? And is there anything also that you have found out about yourself through self-reflection during COVID? Like what have you implemented in your life that you may have always been like, this is maybe something that you have always had instilled within you that has kept you focused?
One of the biggest things that helped me is my mom used to say, the easiest thing you can do in your life is to give up. It's the easiest thing. It's the thing that you can do every minute. It doesn't require any energy, any work. You just simply can't give up. But is it what you want? It's a very easy way. And I always try to find a complicated way. I'm a very complicated person. If there's a straight way to go from point A to point B, for sure I'll take like this, circles and circles and circles.
You will divert it, you will take.
Exactly. And I remember this thing. I was waking up in the morning. I'm like, okay, you know, this is what it is. You know, you can't run away from this. You can't escape from this. Even if you give up, what's going to be the next? Yeah, the next will be you're not going to pay your bills. They come, they'll evict you, you'll be homeless, and here you go. Happy story at the end. I'm like, let's figure out what we can do. So I became like really, really aggressive in a matter of a couple of weeks. It was like, okay, this is a war zone, so we have to be in a war zone. I activated basically all the online stores. We went to a crazy discounts, absolutely crazy. I was talking with designers because construction field were considered as essential. So I'm like, this is the only part of business industry that is still open. So we have to focus on that. So you're waking up, hey, tomorrow we have bills, we have to do this, we have to create this. This is your child. The company is your child. Every single piece is your child. It's not just the business. And I learned one thing. If you want to go to a success, doesn't matter it will happen to you or not. There's no back, done. You're starting, you're going till the end. Imagine if you're going to death, done. There's no giving up, there's no stops, there's no nothing, no matter what. It's aliens coming, it's an earthquake, it's a hurricane, it's a tornado, it's a pandemic.
You know, like,
exactly. Think about your business. Exactly. If it's your baby, like what's going to happen if it's a tornado? First thing you do, you grab your baby and you start run.
Absolutely.
Right? The same thing here. You created this creature, this spirit, this soul. You put in every piece, researching, restoring, having a complicated conversations and dialogues with your customers, vendors, dealers, tax, legal permits, licenses, and what are you going to do? Will you let everything just let go easily? No, I will not. I'm like, I rather lose a lot of money, but I still make some sort of a circle of cash flow, of financial flow, and survive through this. It's not going to be the same. Yes, I used to sell this for this piece. Hell it, forget it. You get it for 80% off. It's fine. I'll send the offers. I'll send the invitations. I'll do whatever I can. Start the hand painting. And you know what happened? I think it was little of miracle. Our social media start getting very, very active. And back then we're selling online. We had like 5 different online stores, which they got frozen immediately, obviously. But then the social media, people stayed at home and people had more time to concentrating on Instagram, seeing what other people post, what they going through, what they're talking about. And people were reaching to us, you know, hey, I'm at home and I decided to repaint my kitchen. And I saw you have these tiles and I don't know even if they're for sale. I'm like, yes, they are. Yes, they are right away. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Take it. Because I have to, you know. And I had a lot of pieces in my collection that was meant to stay with me, but I had to let it go. I'm like, if they want to buy this piece, and this is very emotional piece, and I have a history with this piece, but don't forget, this is a small part of something big.
Well, there is a part of you that I find is why I follow you from the beginning, is that I can see the love in what you do and then the pieces that you work on. And so even to know that, as you've never shared this with me, you know, we haven't spoken on this level, but to hear you say, because I am like that with my things as well. There are things to me that if I had to give something so precious up, and it may not be worth anything to anyone else, but it is worth everything to me. And it has a very sentimental value and memories behind it. But when I found myself giving things not to the extent of what you're explaining, but I, for instance, gave some of my guitar tools to a young kid who never played guitar, but was dabbling on, I was playing with my classical guitar and he was really good at it. And I said, you know, you're really good. So I gave him my tuner and a couple little things that I know I can replace. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't compare with what you're talking about, but to know that maybe this kid will, and this will inspire him to really indulge himself and to playing the guitar during this global pandemic, like it felt so good to give that up because it also was my first, you know, like I have this thing about keeping like the first thing that I started with, you know, I'm very sentimental. And so I like to keep the little things that I'm like, okay, this is where it all started. And so to give that piece up, because I started playing guitar when my grandfather died, and that is where I put my energy into, and I taught myself how to play. And so that was like my first pick and my first tuner, and I just saw that this kid really, I could see talent in him, and I wanted to help in any way I can. So like, this is why I love you. The fact that like this, and I didn't even know about it, but I can feel it through you. And so to hear this, it's so beautiful. And it really makes me, it inspires me to want to let go of things that I have a hard time wanting to let go. But I do believe that it could serve a better, like a purpose in something. Like it's helped me, but I know that there's a better home for it somewhere else. I just want to make, when you can just feel when it's the right time to.
And I'll tell you one thing. I mean, it will be a little more specific about my products, but I believe, I always thought that it was my idea in my mind that, all this old stuff that we have, they don't actually belong to me, I have pieces that are 400 years old. Can you imagine that 400 years old, it was going from one family to another family? How many people fall?
Yeah,
exactly. Like how many people fall in love with those pieces? They looked at them and they were thinking like, this is the best. I paid all my money to have this painting. It's coming from a French chateau, and then in 18th century, the family got beheaded, obviously, and they lost everything. And this painting went to another person home, and then another person home, and then somehow in 19th century it came to US, and then in US it traveled like 5-6 home. And who am I? I'm just like a temporary owner. The painting is looking at me. It has the energy. It thinks I'm like, you're just a short-term stop for me. I don't belong to you, and I will never belong to anyone. It's just, it has its own history. It has its own energy. And my part is like to transform that energy from point A and from point B.
To make sure that the history of that piece continues to live on.
Exactly. Find a new home. Because sometimes I'm saying, they're like, oh, you have an antique store. I'm like, no, I have an antique shelter. It's a big difference, because I do honestly believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, my part is just to find a home for all these pieces. I know a lot of people who own like a pet. I own a cat. They would say, do not compare pets to antiques. I'm not, I'm not. That's just my feeling, my personal experience of how I think about painting, sculptures, or old pieces that they went through, let's say, 50 different countries and 100 different homes. I'm like, who am I to call myself for this short period of time that I own this piece? No, I don't think so. So sometimes letting it go, you just think it's type of an energy that was here, and now it's time to transform to this energy, to let it go, to fly, and it will find its own direction to its new home. And you'll never know. I'll tell you something funny. At the beginning of pandemic, I had a beautiful 2 pieces that they were mine, and they were gilt for the 18th century, very lovely pieces. And I sold them because I had a client, and the client was in New York. She was like, I really, really want them, and I have to have them. Not many sales at that point. So I'm like, you know what, fine, okay. I'll give it to you. We figure out the deal, pricing, shipping, we did everything. And it was June, like 4 months after, she called me again. She's like, I'm going through divorce, unfortunately for her. But I think it was a good thing for her to happen, even though who am I to judge? Long story short, she's like, I'm either gonna take part of the estate back to auction, but I know you love these 2 pieces. So if you want, I can give it back to you. And I was like staring at the message for 5 minutes. I'm like, these 2 pieces were so important to me. And this is the energy what's happening, I let them go. I never felt comfortable. I didn't eat it. It was like right here. I'm like, I really want that pieces back. And then one morning I'm waking up and I'm reading her message. I'm shipping them back to you. I was like,
Wow.
my chin dropped, and I was like, you know.
That is like, it's meant to be, you know, like,
Yeah.
wow, that is.
It was like a pure transformation of energy, you know. It's like it came
And
from
you know,
here, it did the circle, it came back to me.
and from you letting go, like you are, you're also allowing yourself to grow. You know, like when things no longer serve their purpose, we don't know, like you just said, if it'll come back or not. You know, they say if it's meant to be, let it go, it'll come back to you. It's
Right.
the same thing with, let's just say, certain things in your life that mean something to you. By letting it go, by loving a piece and having it meaning so much to you, but giving it up, even if it's something that you really don't, you didn't want to, but you had no choice due to a global pandemic, and to be able to survive. At the end of the day, your intent behind doing what you had to do to survive turned around and came back to you. Look how that is beautiful. And in doing that, before you even knew you were going to get it back, I'm sure there was so much growth inside of you for doing that. And then the reward at the end of the day is now you have your peace back. But it's like such a beautiful circle of life. I mean, it's just, if you really take the time to digest it and look at it the way you are, you know, that's a very hard thing to do, especially when our lives are upside down. But to think, you know, I have to be, like right now it's about surviving and about taking care of my family and making sure I have a roof over my head, and making these sacrifices. And then to know that when your energy and your heart is pure and good and it means well, you know, what is meant to be will be. And if it's meant for you, it'll come back to you. You don't know when, you know, but this piece is absolutely, these pieces were meant for you. And they, you know, made their way again around cross country and back. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
exactly. They just took a vacation for a couple of months, and then they're like, okay, we're back.
Yeah, when no one else could take a vacation, that's extra history to them. That's something now that you have a great story to share. Like you'll forever look at that piece and be like, wow, I let you go during a global pandemic, and now I have you again because of a client that, you know, I've built this rapport with. And, you know, she knows me enough and well enough and cares about me. And like, you obviously have this great relationship with her that she knew your energy and can feel like this belongs to him, and I wanted to have it back. And I just think that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was very nice of her doing that.
That is so amazing. Like, I so want to thank you. So first of all, I will get I want to get your, so where can, you know, those out there that don't know you find you?
Sure. I mean, I think the ones, the beautiful ones that they don't live in Los Angeles, they can always find us on our Instagram. I think that will be the most amazing platform that I ever had a chance to be part of it and work with it, because as much you can gain trust looking at the hundred of pictures or person sharing how he feels and how he sees the world. I asked some of my customers too, I'm like, how do you buy from Instagram? Like, you know, it was wild for me to think about it. They're like, because on Instagram, we see who's selling it. We see his story. We can go to 2015 and see his cousin's wedding there and see his reaction and his body language and the way he's doing his eyes. That will give us an idea if we can trust to this person or not.
Right.
And I think Instagram is the best thing. It's tons of communication, because if I tell the online stores what? You're looking at the picture. You don't know who's behind it, you know?
Yeah, and I never like that. But I mean, you share your stories of you literally getting a piece, struggling to like get it to where it needs to go, and safely get it to your place of your studio where you restore it. I mean, I have to say, your videos or your stories are quite like just amusing, like very entertaining to see the whole process.
Thank you. It means so much to me, honestly.
Yeah, I love it because I'm like, look at this. Because you look at it in product and you're like, wow, but people don't realize what it took for that finished piece of work to get to where it is. There's this whole other, all these other steps that you had to take to get it to now be in your store, which you were opening when October.
Well, the plan of store was funny because I never wanted to have a store. I was thinking, I was like so scared about future, and I was thinking that let's leave it as online because one day everything will become online, and people will shop online, think online, meet online, and forget about having a retail store. And then two things happened. The first thing is I realized that, like with people, not every piece is good in the picture. You see it in the picture, it looks ugly. When you see it in person, it's beautiful. So same thing with me. In the picture, it's horrible. In person, much better. Joking. So not joking, that's true. And then the second part, I understood that sometimes things are moving so fast, and a lot of people having the same idea that online is the only future. So I thought, be the person who will keep the retail store, having the communication, having those pieces displayed nicely,
Tangible.
Having your customers come in and touching, feeling, grabbing, rubbing. And I'm like, that's becoming very old-fashioned and old culture. Let's keep it for another 20, 30 years. Globalization will take it eventually. We're very small to fight with it. But if you still can do your best, have the idea, store, but not a cold store where people come and even afraid to touch. Being so welcoming to customers, like seeing your friend whom you know for the last 20 years, offering everything you can, starting with, even the basic stuff. Hi, how are you? You want a coffee? You want something to eat? You want something to drink? Be nice to them. Don't obligate them to buy something. Don't obligate them to make a purchase. Just make them feel comfortable when they're coming here.
And I think what's great is that you're offering that something that's personable that you can't offer online. Do you know what I mean? Like you can offer so much, you can share so much, but when there's that personal, like togetherness, person on person, when there's a different feel for that, and it's there, people truly do appreciate that. So to be able to give that or allow someone to have that option, I think is wonderful, especially when, that is becoming something of the past. I'm very much, I love letters. I love touching something tangible. There are things that I believe mean a lot more than just a text or whatnot. So to have have coffee and to have people come in and to be able to talk, even though we have to have distance or wear masks, we don't have to completely stop living our lives and not see other people outside of our circle. And so I think that that's amazing that you're offering that, and people will truly appreciate that. In time they will see.
Thank you. I hope so, because before I had people come into my place when they were wanting to pick up something. So I'm like, well, the warehouse is way too far. If you want to swing by, I can bring it to my place, come and pick it up. And then the place was settled actually like a store because everything is hanging, painting, sculptures. And when they were coming, if they don't have like street boundaries saying, hi, thank you, I'll grab it and I leave. If they let me to talk, if they want to share something, I think every customer who was walking to my place, they were staying for another 3-4 hours. And then we're going back to school, how it was in school, how they learned this, how they went this. And when they were leaving, I think I never felt so excited when they were buying something, but the fact that I learned so much about this person, it's like exploring a new universe,
Yeah.
And
that's
I learned one thing. Every person who was coming to me, they were saying, it feels like I'm not in Los Angeles. And at the beginning, I was like, what do they mean I'm not in Los Angeles? They're like, and I even asked, I'm like, what means you're not in Los Angeles? This is Los Angeles, And they're like, no, you let people to talk. You let people to be the way they are, open, you know,
You
talk
take
whatever
interest
you
in their
want.
lives, you know, I mean,
Right.
you know, I've lived in Los Angeles for 10 years, currently displaced, but I will say, you know, living in Los Angeles, people are very busy. They don't have time. They're just coming and going, coming and going. And so people, if they realize it or not, they really do appreciate having someone listen to them, because not many people out there do. You know, it's just a very fast-paced life. And so I think that that's just a quality and a gift that you have that not, you know, many others don't. And so when you meet someone like that, and when people meet you, they instantly fall in love with that. And even me meeting you through Instagram, I never met you before Instagram. I still haven't met you in person, which I can't wait to. I will surprise you one day.
You're cross.
But at the end of the day, like, I knew that I felt that, you know, and you truly, it emits from you. You know, there's an aura about you that you really do care about hearing what others have to say. You know, when people are talking to you, you truly are listening. You are present. It's not like, and just going over. You truly take the time to, like you said, learn about them and where they're from. And that's a great quality to have. And that's, I think, why I'm fond of you. And I had to have, like,
Too, with
I was so excited.
your perspectives.
I was
I
so
honestly can.
excited to ask you to.
So come and visit us in Los Angeles. End of the
I
day, we
will.
have to talk. You'll sit here for
Oh,
hours.
absolutely. I can't wait for that.
Promise we can.
Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate everything. And you know, I will. You know, is there anything you would like to share?
Wow, I think I would like to share a special thank you for a person that might not even watch this video. I don't even know who that person is, but honestly, I want to say thank you to the owner of Instagram, honestly. Like,
Right?
because, I mean, like, I lost a lot of people through my life. You know, I lost a lot of good friends. I lost family members, and some left this world, some left their spot in my mind. But I'm gaining and finding people that I'm so fond of, as you're saying. And I never care what person thinks, looks, or does. I'm caring about the pure spirit. If I feel you have a pure emotions, if I feel that you'll get angry on me on something, and you'll get angry, you know, you'll get angry and you'll talk with me so honest, saying that, hey, you did this bad to me, I will fall in love with you. Because you're a pure spirit. You share what you think. You don't keep it inside. Yes, sometimes you keep things inside, but in general, you talk. Your energy that is vibrating out of your body, it's a life energy. It's not a dead energy. So finding people like you, like, it's like exploring a huge new universe.
I mean,
And
yeah,
it is fascinating for me.
it is really, like, truly, you get to, like, if it weren't for social media and for Instagram, for instance, we probably, maybe, you know, if I didn't
Right.
I would have never met you. And so
Yeah.
for some reason for obviously for a reason, I came across you, and, you know, I believe that it was meant for me to meet you. And so I'm very grateful for Instagram in the fact that I've gotten to meet amazing individuals such as yourself. And I just want to thank you so much for participating in this project that means so much to me. And I only wish you the best in everything that you do. And I look forward to seeing you in person. We can
Oh my God, yes. Come back to Los Angeles.
Yeah, so thank you for your time. I know you have a lot to do. Yeah, thank you.